Hey, welcome yet to another weekly episodic podcast of The Navarro Show, coming to you live from the mean streets of Norwalk, Connecticut. It is a very busy week here in the Northeast because we have been preparing for one of probably the first snowstorm of the year, Winter Storm Heartburn, which is coming to bring rain, ice, and snow. So the conditions of the roads will be slippery and very not safe to driving. And not only is that, but it's also great condition to play a good game of football. No question, this weekend is a big football weekend. I myself is excited to see the AFC championship between the Patriots and the Kansas Chiefs. I do think Tom Brady, even though they're going in, the Patriots are going in as the underdog for this game for the AFC. And considering that Tom Brady has lost all his AFC championship road games when Peyton Manning was his opponent, I don't know, I feel like Tom Brady will be in a good position to win the AFC championship and go out. I would not rule them out as underdogs. Excuse me there. Not only is that, but we have the Saints versus the Rams. The Rams has been doing good, but I don't think their offense will line up to the home field advantage of the Saints. Drew Brees is a more experienced quarterback. He has been in this position to play at the NFC championship, and he's no question going to take dominating the league, and there would be. And we're going to see it. Tom Brady, Drew Brees, calling it now, right here on the Navarro Show. Tom Brady, Drew Brees for the Super Bowl this year, and the Patriots are going to win it, and Tom Brady's going to go to retirement. That is my prediction. This is what's going to happen. No question. We are going to see one hell of football games this weekend. Truly the best of the best. No question about that. And I'm excited. This winter storm is going to hit us hard. So I'm going to be sitting home enjoying a good game of football. And we're going to win it out. And that's what counts the most. Watching a good game of football with your loved ones and enjoying it. Not also is that, remember guys, the Navarro Show is on YouTube. Majority of you guys do like to listen to the podcast on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and Google Podcasts, but we now have the YouTube channel up and loaded, so you can also sit there and subscribe. So if you miss it out on the podcast, you can definitely catch it on YouTube. So don't forget that, guys. Definitely going to be excited. The topic we're going to be talking about is one of the most recent posts of the XFL, how they're going to play less penalties into the game. And I think that's a very good idea, and I'm going to break it down and explain why do I think it's going to be good with having less penalties and calling certain plays a certain so that way the game can go on a quicker pace. That would be all for this intro. We're going to be coming back, and we're going to be talking to you about the penalty systems that the XFL is lining up. Hey, thank you for being a loyal listener of The Navarro Show. And remember to subscribe to this podcast on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, and now on our YouTube channel, The Navarro Show. So that way you can never miss out any of our content on any of our platform. Feel free to always comment or share and subscribe to this podcast so we can continue delivering you guys the best podcast we can to provide you. Alright, we're hitting the record button here live for the Navarro Show. I am your host once again, Israel Navarro, and here we're going to talk about the XFL penalty system. For a brief history reminder, the XFL is the brainchild of the CEO and the chairman of the board, Vincent Kennedy McMahon. No question, he has launched this league not to compete for the NFL, but more to deliver reimagining the game of football and delivering a football for fans to enjoy, and this time bringing it to a social media platform as well. And it's going to be one of the fastest growing league in North America. I'm calling it now on the show. No question, he will not be involved like he did in 2001. He has gotten Oliver Luck as the XFL commissioner as well as the CEO. But no question, Oliver Luck is also, yes, the father of Andrew Luck of the Indianapolis Colts, who is running this league. And with under Oliver Luck leadership, the XFL has worked very hard, very rigorous, to make sure that they can bring us a faster-paced football game, easier to understand, a game that's enjoyable and entertaining. taking out the politics, taking out the corporate America side of the game, and just giving us pure football fans truly great football, easy to understand and easy for us to have fun and play. Well, not play, but to enjoy watching the plays, I should say. Excuse me there. But one of the things they're going to do is actually do penalties. One of the I'm going to quote recently what they have posted on social media. We do not watch to see football to see flags fly. And that is 100% true. If you watch the NFL in the last couple seasons, we are seeing so much penalties. Penalties are being called out for things that we normally don't even get involved in. What do I mean? Like recently, one of the things, the way you're tackling the quarterback. Now, if you tackle the quarterback a certain way, it's a penalty on your team, and he loses yardage against your team. But you know, the no-tuck rule. Let's remember Tom Brady against the Oakland Raiders in 2012 when the snowing game and everything, and because of the no-tuck rule, you know, Tom Brady's arm was already in motion. That's why the sack didn't count. The play wasn't drop dead, and then it caused the Patriots to have the control and did not leave the Oakland Raiders to get the lead, and that led Tom Brady to another victorious game. Let's not forget that. But how many times are we seeing penalties called, and we don't even know what they're being called for, but they're just being called, the flags are being thrown, and it sometimes gets harder to understand what's going on with the game. And what that does is just makes the game a lot longer. Sometimes a game looking at the way the NFL formats the game should be under 3 hours, clean, under 3 hours. Yet we get to the games and sometimes it's 4 hours long. A 4 hour long game. We're not enjoying the content. You know, sometimes we already lose the passion. Some of us just have the NFL red zone, so that way when the game is stopped being played in one area, we can go on to the next and just start watching another game that's already playing. And it just takes away. It really does take away from the experience. Now also is that the XFL plans to reduce penalties from an average of 14.2 a game to 10 penalties. Taking an average, to 10. That's another point I want to talk out. So they're trying to keep the penalties minimum. I think they're going to call the plays the way they are, no matter what. You know, if the coach wants to challenge the play, they can challenge the play. That's fine. But what they really want to do is to really just make sure that the game is done right. That the game, if it's really serious, they're going to call it. No question, I think they're going to call holding. They're going to call the false starts. Those are average. But let's say just because the player bumped into someone that he wasn't supposed to bump into, we're not going to penalize him. Because the player accidentally, when he went to tackle, he touched the player's butt, we're going to penalize. No, they're going to do what's right. Now, if it's like a cheap shot, no question, the XFL is going to call that as a penalty. That's a cheap shot. You're not going to be like, oh no, we're oblivious. Like, one of the things they always talk, a catch is a catch. So instead of, how the NFL, where they're debating that it's a catch, no, it was outside. No question, if a catch is out of bounds, it's going to be out of bounds. But if you know how sometimes everyone stays arguing, that wasn't a catch, this was a catch. Well, the XFL is going to say that was a catch. Let's commit to it, and we're going to go play with it. So, like, all these weird play, like, the helmet catch, let's say that was famous in a couple Super Bowls against, with the Patriots and the New York Giants, where it was just a helmet catch. A lot of people said, oh, that shouldn't be considered a catch. Well, in the XFL, you can, believe it or not, those are going to be considered catches. When the player catches it and he has it in between his arm, but he doesn't lose control of the ball, but he's down on the ground, that's a catch. If he's so you're going to see that, except where the NFL, they're going to be like, no, that wasn't a catch, or no, because the player did this, the defensive player hold his shoelaces, that was holding, we're going to penalize it, and then they don't call it a catch. All those things. You're going to see it clean up. It's just going to be understandable. The other thing they want to do is penalties. This is something they stated themselves. Penalties take an average of 36.5 seconds to administrate, we're striving to keep it under 15 seconds. Then what they're going to do is they're going to call the penalties. They're going to call them on spot, and they're going to say, hey, this is something that shouldn't be taking a while. They're not going to sit there and discuss it. Because I think sometimes I've seen the games. They're discussing almost 3 minutes, actually. They say, oh, it takes away 30. I've seen it go for 3 minutes. They're discussing. They're back and forth. Then they come back. They talk. Oh, we're going to go to commercial break. And nothing happens. And then they're like, oh, yes, now we're back. And the referees haven't decided if this is this. Nobody wants to watch a football game that goes on and on the penalties. And how many times I've seen games that the penalties shouldn't have even mattered. Question to some people, all these penalties calling have softened the league. It's not the Lawrence Taylor era where it was smash mouth, gung-ho, gung-swinging football. But everyone calls it softening the league. I call it being smarter. Because how many players have retired and they're only 50 years old, 60 years old, and they have so much health complications. They have cerebral damage, hip damage, heart problems, mobility problems, all this stuff. So they're making the league safer and fun because there has been a drop in players playing football. There has been players that, I shouldn't say players, parents haven't been signing up their kids for like Pop Warner football, haven't been telling kids once they get to high school, don't play it because you have to get there to college or find a sport, play soccer because it's a little bit more healthier. All these things. So that's where so you can't blame the NFL for all of it, but there's sometimes it's just really stupid. The penalties that are calling. Yes, I understand it's for player safety and for keep players in bench and challenge, but there's so much rules being made up that sometimes it's not like rule. Like I started watching football in 2000 and to all the way now. So we're talking about 20 years of my life. I'm gonna be 25. So for 20 years of my life, I've been watching football and I've seen the game change. And yeah, these penalties have taken away a lot of the game. Sometimes it takes away from the excitement. Sometimes it does screw a team over. And that is what goes on. That is what we are seeing here in the XFL. So I do believe that these penalties are going to really do a difference. They're going to do a difference, and it's going to deliver a very good game of football when them reducing all these penalty calls. There's no question on that. Also, I've actually been on Twitter. I'm actually grateful for some of you guys actually commenting on my Twitter, which is Israel. The handler is Israel, ISRAELNVRRO. Some of you guys have commented, and one of the things is true. The XFL has been playing in 20 seats, 15 seats stadiums to, no question, to present a more full stadium when they're playing the game. But one of the things is New York is playing at MetLife Stadium. And to switch 20,000 people in MetLife Stadium is going to look empty. No question. I want to thank the person who was making that comment, like, oh, why is it so worth to go see the New York team play in a stadium where it's more empty? Well, I'm pretty sure the top deck is not going to be filled out. You're going to be on the lower deck. I'm pretty sure they're going to put like carpets or I don't want to say carpets, but like something to block out the front, maybe more TV screens on top of the stadium or lightings in that area so it can light up more of the field. They're going to be playing the game of football there. There's going to be lower, and they're going to design, because remember, Vince McMahon's dream is not to have this league. He's designed this league to be like the MLS, where MLS at one time did own all the teams. They did own all of them, but then slowly they started selling off to teams, and people who are interested in buying them. So I'm pretty sure if you want to own one of the XFL teams, I'm pretty sure if you give them a good price, Vince McMahon will sell you the team, and that way you take over the teams, and then you can start doing your salary pay and your salary gap for players. And also, if you want to put the players in a better stadium, you can negotiate those deals, because that's what the goal of Vince McMahon. He owns the league now. He owns all the teams. He owns what the players, coaches, everyone is getting paid. But at the end of the day, he's designing the league so that one day the league is still standing. But hey, let's say if I wanted to buy the New York team, well, I can buy the New York team. If you want to buy the Seattle team, you buy the Seattle team. That's what he is. He's going to design the league so it gets the traction, so he can pick up. And you can say, oh, but football never gets played from the winter to the spring. It was never popular. Yes, it was. When the USFL, they were one of the highest ratings programs on television. So America loves football, and America loves football no matter what time of the year it is. So that's why this league is going to be successful, and that's why. And he's bringing the right people to guide him and to teach him how to do this. That is all, folks, for the Navarro Show this week. If you're listening to this on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or Google Podcasts, or even on our YouTube channel, feel free to comment, subscribe, or share this with anyone who's looking forward to the XFL. Remember, you can always reach out to me on social media and always send me questions or make a comment, and I'm glad to respond to you. Remember, on Instagram and Twitter, it's the same handler, Israel, Israel NVRRO. And you can feel free to message me, and I can answer your question like this loyal listener of the Navarro Show has. So, on the podcast, feel free to always do it. Take care, and God bless you.
The podcast you just heard was made using Anchor. Ever thought about making your own podcast? Anchor makes it really easy for anyone to get started. It's a one-stop shop for recording, hosting, and distributing podcasts. Best of all, it's 100% free. Sign up now at anchor.fm/new. That's anchor.fm/new to get started.